Your old mate, Tyson Fury, did a press conference yesterday. I said this to you before. I'm a Tyson Fury fan. I was sort of sat there thinking, he's going to retire here. And I don't know whether that is at all the most promising thing when we're saying that we're about to see this guy going into a unification bout. But bearing in mind the press conference wasn't scheduled as far as we know, it was sort of sprung on us. I had heard a couple of guys that were going up there to be reporting on the press conference. Ade Oladipo, one of them, saying that he didn't know why he was going up there and it was just sort of sprung on everyone. In the end, it turned into just a usual sort of media day. Tyson Fury maybe having a bit of a change from the day-to-day of just going to the gym. And
you mentioned something before we come on here about, is he just needing to get the juices going and feel like, right, we're in training camp now? I hadn't considered that. I thought that this was some sort of, commitment that he had to follow up on for promotion because he'd pulled out of the last one, and we need to remind everyone, don't forget, it's next month, something like that. However, maybe there was a feeling in camp of things are slowing down because they've been in camp for Usyk for God knows how many months now. Remember, he was obviously last year before the Ngannou fight, that was supposed to just be a fucking warm-up for Usyk. So maybe there is a feeling in the camp of we've been training, which that's not common for Fury in his career at this point. He's a one fight a year guy, and even that one fight, it's not one of the level of jeopardy that we're looking at here. I laid out last time, there's last 4 fights. He obviously had already beaten Wilder, he'd already beaten Chisora, he'd beaten up White in training, and he thought he'd already beaten an MMA guy quite comfortably in his mind several times over. There was no threat there. Now with Usyk, there's a real threat there. And maybe, given the fact that they've got Big John in camp, and I feel like there's certainly a level of coming together now. It feels like with Big John having his differences with coaches, or there's a feeling of we need all hands on deck, get behind Tyson, and this might have been a thing to motivate him and go, right, remember, we've just done the press conference, now it's fight camp time. Fight camp starts now. And there's a feeling of, right, we're starting up again, because he mentioned afterwards about this worry of burning out, overtraining, and maybe that's a feeling of a reset now of, okay, now we're in fight camp.
Do you know what's mad about that? I was sort of thinking about, and we had an in-depth conversation about who the delay benefits and who the delay hurts more after Fury sustained the cut. I have got no doubts about the validity of that cut. I believe it was a real cut. I believe that he was going to have to pull out the fight because of the cut. What I do think is this: once you get that cut, you've got potentially, I don't know, maybe 10 weeks off sparring, 8 weeks off sparring or something like that for it to close up. If at that point there was no cut when the cut was done and you said to Tyson Fury, do you want another 6 weeks on top of this camp? I think he'd have said yes. I do definitely.
For the extra sparring? Sorry, do you mean to allow for the cut to heal, or do you just mean that?
Say there was no cut.
Okay.
Say there was no cut and the fight was supposed to go ahead at the start of February, I think it was, when it was originally intended.
He would have rather had more time.
Yeah, I think he would have took the option. Had you said to him, do you want 6 more weeks on top of this camp? So you can probably go back to Morcambe for a week, tail off, rest a little bit, come back, carry on going, and then your camp is not focused around, we have got X amount of pounds to lose, we need to get down to this weight. And it can be a more enjoyable camp. It can be a camp where potentially you eat a little bit more, and it can be a camp when you're focusing on the game plan rather than hitting a certain weight on the scales. And I do very much think that a lot of the early stages of Tyson Fury's camp would have been focusing on getting that weight off him. Whether you're opting to use to use sort of, I don't want to call them bully tactics, but to impose your size upon Usyk or not,
he definitely is.
Yeah, you're
that's how he got the cut.
Yeah.
He was roughing the guy up on the inside. He caught like a sharp one. Like, he's definitely going to try the Deontay Wilder method of get him close and lean on him. That's definitely the goal.
So I think that if he had been offered an extra 6 weeks to his camp, he would have taken it.
Yeah.
But now we're going on about offered an extra 12, 14 weeks because of the cut. And this is where the comment that you just mentioned there comes into play, in terms of Tyson Fury said after that he would quite like the fight to be tomorrow. He's worried about overcooking. And I do think that he's probably at that point in camp where it's like, mate, I'm just fucking ready to fight now. I get there. I know the feeling, right? And I think that that's why the press conference was announced, and that's why they hosted the press conference, just to break up the schedule a little bit.
Hype it up, talk about the fight, get the press attention, reinvigorate the juices a little bit, because Tyson Fury, we know, is a bit ADHD. Speaking from experience, I'm like that. Like he needs to feel inspired more than the average fighter. His performances fluctuate dramatically from fight to fight. So we've commented on that. And when he's up for it and he feels back against the wall, that's the best version of Tyson Fury. And whereas Usyk, I feel is just so consistent, so bulletproof. I don't have any doubts that Usyk is probably fed up a bit as well. But what I do believe in is his ability to deliver a consistent level of performance, no matter the circumstances. And despite the extra time, frustratingly for me, benefiting Fury, I am kind of glad though, because I want to see the best version of Fury. But I do now wonder, like you're saying, at first I was like, this is going to fucking benefit him. You can get rid of all the extra fat. He's going to come in really in good shape. And, you know, on the one hand, I was frustrated because I want to see him get a hiding. But on the other hand, I am glad. But now I'd never really thought of the fact of, what is him training for the same opponent for months on end really going to do for him? And now you're looking at it and thinking, is he just getting a little bit... Because Usyk doesn't give him anything back. You know, like if this was a long-term build-up to a fight, but the other guy was chirping away, you're still getting that motivation. Usyk's giving him nothing. And he's just training for months on end for this guy. So maybe this was to light the fire.
I've always felt like Tyson Fury feels a lot more comfortable being the hunter rather than the hunted. You look at the best performances. Deontay Wilder won. Everyone thought he was losing that fight. Everyone thought he had took it too early in the comeback trail and that Deontay Wilder would starch Tyson Fury at some point. Vladimir Klitschko. No, there was a British boxer called Lloyd Honeyghan. I think it was in the 80s maybe, that went over, and it was stated as one of the biggest upsets of a British boxer going overseas boxing for a world title. I remember there was a lot of Lloyd Honeyghan talk around the Klitschko against Fury fight when it first announced. I remember that was a 9-1 for Fury to win that fight. 9-1 with the bookies, I think it was, for Fury on point. So obviously a betting underdog, a real big underdog going into that one. I feel like when Tyson Fury feels he has to prove something, that's when you get the best out of him. And that's why I do believe in this fight, we're going to see the best possible version of Tyson Fury.
Do you feel like he's the hunter or the hunted? It's hard to say that.
I feel like he's the hunted. I feel like, Oleksandr Usyk is hunting Tyson Fury. That's what I feel like.
What makes you feel that way?
I just feel like Oleksandr Usyk has it in his brain that this guy is not potentially even going to be my toughest fight. That's what I feel like Usyk.
I feel like the interviews and the avoidance of the fight from Fury on countless opportunities where he's like, yeah, what's the point? He's only a middleweight. And where with Usyk being like ravenous about wanting this fight, it's created a narrative in my head, I don't even know if it's reality, that Usyk is the one who really wants this fight. And Fury just signed up because it's like, yes, good money. I don't feel like Fury emotionally is that attached to beating Usyk. I think Usyk is more attached to, like, Usyk cares more about being undisputed than Fury does. Fury's actually admitted that pretty much.
Do you know when it will be, though? Do you know when Fury will care about it? If and when he beats Usyk. Then it will be. Then you'll never stop hearing about it. Trust me, and I'll be the same, right? But do you know what it is like? And I know you covered this in a video on your channel, so definitely check that one out. But when Fury was listing some of the names that have gone up from cruiserweight to heavyweight, Tyson Fury is definitely a bit of a boxing encyclopedia. We know that. I've watched him for years and he can tell you about multiple different fighters that I've never even heard of. But Tyson Fury, to me, seemed like he had been doing some invested research into how cruiserweights fare. Now, for me personally, if I'm supremely confident of beating someone, I don't give a fuck how everyone else fared. I know what I'm doing. And he was using some of the examples, and it almost felt like he was trying to convince some of the media there that it can, Usyk can be beaten. Cruiserweights have come up. Evander Holyfield couldn't do it at heavyweight. I'm paraphrasing here, but saying it that he said, no, Evander Holyfield didn't beat Lennox Lewis, but Evander Holyfield definitely did do it at heavyweight. Got some real good.
He said something about he couldn't do it against the biggest guys, and I thought, well, yeah, but Lennox is a one-off, right? Like,
he done it against Riddick Bowe.
Yeah. exactly.
George Foreman, there's a lot of Ray Mercer. There's a lot of guys on Evander Holyfield's record that are heavyweight he went on to beat. He used Thomas Adamek as an example. I found that a really, really strange one. Obviously, Thomas Adamek, anyone recently that's seen him might have seen him getting stopped by Jarrell Miller, but Thomas Adamek's best days were at light heavyweight rather than at cruiserweight, so you'd have never fancied him at heavyweight anyway.
That's jumping multiple weight classes, let alone one.
Yeah, David Hay was another example used. I thought David Hay fared pretty well at heavyweight. I think he was in a underwhelming heavyweight era where there was a standout in terms.
What his gist of his point was, I am an elite heavyweight. Now you may beat heavyweights, but you'll never beat an elite heavyweight. And I just thought to myself, you beat Anthony Joshua, mate. Anthony Joshua is an elite heavyweight in my if we've seen anything recently from AJ, it's that he's gone in there and he's brutally dispatched of guys who did give Fury some problems. That doesn't mean AJ is better than Fury, but it means their levels are in the same neighborhood. And if Usyk can outclass AJ, who is big, right? The whole point is the size. Well, you could argue in terms of muscle, like, all right, on the weight, on the scales, Fury might weigh more. But if we're talking about who's got functional weight, AJ is just as big as Fury. And it didn't matter. You could argue AJ hits harder than Fury. A lot of people would say that. Never looked in trouble once, Usyk against AJ. So, and I'm not saying that automatically means Usyk beats Fury, but what it definitely means is Usyk can win against Fury, in my opinion. It's possible. So I think it's not the best boxing maths that he used. Did
you feel like we saw an honest version of Tyson Fury yesterday?
In moments. I liked it. There was some good, it was a little bit of a halfback to the old days, like a little bit of humour there. I was like, I'm enjoying this a bit. Like, yeah, he's funny, he's cocky, and he's saying some silly things, getting everyone laughing. And I think Frank Warren played his role in bullying him up and giving him of course you're going to do it. Do you know what I mean? But
I thought they were very open about tactics yesterday, and knowing what I know of Tyson Fury, sometimes that could be a ploy, sometimes it could be a trap to maybe have Oleksandr Usyk thinking that he was going to do one thing and he was actually going to do something else. I would counter that by saying, if I had to put my money on it, and this is a bit of a nothing point, I don't think Oleksandr Usyk watches any of these press conferences or interviews with Tyson. I don't think he cares. I honestly don't think he cares. Yeah. But what they did say a lot about was the body shots. He doesn't take body shots very well. Tyson Fury said about the fact that he was dropped in the amateurs. I think it was Beterbiev. It was Beterbiev.
A long time ago, wasn't it?
A long time ago.
Do you know what, right? If that was the thing I thought of. He's been dropped by a body shot, but if you're using that as he was dropped by a body shot all the way back then, in my head, I'm like, we've literally got your last fight you were dropped. Do you know what I mean? And I don't think you would say Usyk in the same way, trying to clutch at those things, but I think part of that whole event was a confidence booster.
Yeah, I think so. I do think so.
Might help,
too.
Right?
It may well do. I do think that when we're looking at Tyson Fury's game plan against Oleksandr Usyk, I think that...
Do you think he fights him inside as quick as he can? Because he's talking about an early finish.
Nah, I don't think he does that.
You think he's going to mix it?
I think we see 3 rounds of a chess match, and then I think we see Tyson Fury just go, do you know what, fuck this, and try and walk him down.
Yeah.
And that's what I do think. I think there's always...
That's what AJ should have done, in truth.
Yep.
Yeah, I give it a minute. Can you hang with him? If he's outpacing you and he's too quick for you, too sharp, then just get into him.
Now, AJ's a much, much better finisher, in my opinion, than Tyson Fury once he gets you hurt. But I actually think that Tyson Fury is better at walking a man down and beating him up. If you watch early Tyson Fury, that's all he did. Yep. All early Tyson Fury did was beat up on these little small heavyweights, walk them down, rough them up. There was another thing someone saying to me when he said about the body shots, someone saying, well, Tyson Fury doesn't throw body shots. And it's if you watch early Tyson Fury, he throws a hell of a lot of body shots. He does when he's in control against these smaller guys.
That's why he would get caught off those non-punchers. And he did bring that up in his chat about, I've been hurt by non-punchers before, so I better watch myself. And I thought, that's why you got hurt.
Yeah.
Because you had to break the barrier and get into them. And in doing so, you are leaving yourself open. The thing that gives me a hope for Usyk to stop Fury is... Fury, he mentioned, I've been hit by big punches, but they couldn't finish me off. But I thought to myself, but the punches you've been nailed by, who were big, they do need a lot of recovery. They do need a lot of, Wilder took many, many rounds off in their fights. He was knackered from round 4 half the time. It will be interesting if Usyk hurts him, when Fury does inevitably get back up, how he handles the fact that this guy is still in your face, still snapping away at you. He's not going to give you that recovery time.
Do you remember when Usyk knocked out Tony Bellew? There was 3 punches. The first punch knocked Tony Bellew out. Usyk hits him with 2 more before he goes down. Yeah. And that's what I think you're getting at there, and that's what I would worry about massively. It's a fascinating fight. I can't wait to see how this one unfolds. We're doing a live stream for it, aren't we?
Yeah. And you know what? It's funny because Bellew, good ring IQ, caused him some problems. But the energy it took out of him to do that, to outbox him, he was knackered halfway into the fight but he didn't have that extra thing that Fury's got of being able to walk him down. And I think he's got to do that. I think he's got to get into him as quick as he can.
It's funny that we say about being able to walk him down. It's just so hard against someone with good feet. Like when you were walking Wilder down in the second Wilder fight, Wilder is very...
Got the worst feet in fucking boxing.
Awful. He will step his front foot first and his back foot second. Usyk is going to be dancing around the outskirts of that ring, man. It's going to be a very, very tricky one.
I think he'll get dropped,
Fury will, when he's having success.
No, I'm just saying, whatever the result, I believe Fury will go down. It's just because of the quickness of Usyk. And the accuracy. Even if Fury wins, I see him getting dropped and getting back up. Even if it's like one of those where he's not really that hurt, but it's like, whoa, fucking hell, that caught us.
I could imagine it coming. If Fury gets dropped in this fight, and I think there's a distinct possibility he does, if he gets dropped in this fight, believe me, it's going to happen when he's having success.
Probably,
he's going to have gone through a period, in my opinion, for what it's worth. He's going to have gone through a period where he doesn't have much success. And when he does start to have a bit of success, he starts to think, okay, sweet, this is good. I carry on doing this. Yeah. And that's when that backhand just clips him. And I could see that happening. But I am still backing Tyson Fury to win this one. I don't know how confident I am. I feel like most chats I have with you, I get a little bit less and less confident, but let's see.
I'm more impressed with Fury now than like at the Ngannou fight. I was like, he's a dead man walking. And I think if they'd have fought not long after that and they hadn't have been the bruising and all that, he would have been it wouldn't have been a fair fight. It would have been easy. Now I'm like, Fury does look back to his best. So now I'm like, okay, I'm less confident than I was, for sure. Yeah. Still backing Usyk, but we're going to have an emotional roller coaster of a night. So yeah, definitely come to the live stream for that.
It's going to be a good one. Yeah. It's just before I go into camp potentially, so I will be having a drink on that one. It'll be good fun. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. What do you think of this new version of Tyson Fury, if you can call that? It's a calmer version of Tyson Fury, I think we'd admit. Let me know your thoughts as to where Tyson Fury's at mentally, physically right now, and let's have your fight predictions in the comment section below. I will see you all in the next one.